Hello, and welcome to a Financial Wellness and Borrowing Wisely presentation. This presentation is brought to you by the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office at the CU Anschutz Medical Campus. This presentation in particular is for our physical therapy program, Summer 2026 matriculation students. My name is Audrey Needfeld. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a financial aid advisor in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office, otherwise known as FASO. Why does financial wellness matter, and why are we talking about this today? Financial wellness can reduce your stress by providing peace of mind. It can provide a clear financial plan while you're in school and beyond. It can also help keep your main focus on your academic requirements so that you can ensure your studies are as strong as possible. Financial wellness also helps avoid unnecessary debt and borrowing. It helps you build lifelong money management skills and knowledge, and it also can help provide confidence in achieving your goals, both those financial ones and otherwise. Financial wellness will also help you avoid common pitfalls, such as not tracking your spending, over borrowing, as we mentioned previously, and also ignoring your credit health. Before we get started, I wanted to touch base on what we will be covering today. Within this presentation, there will be a few reminders from FASO and financial aid as it pertains to CU Anschutz. We will also look into personal budgeting tips and tricks, borrowing wisely, personal credit health, and monitoring that, as well as how FASO can support you during your time here. Just a quick reminder that financial aid can never exceed your cost of attendance in any given semester or aid year. Financial aid does include all funds from educational loans, whether they are private or federal or state-based, scholarships, grants, work-study funds, tuition assistance, etc. When this happens, FASO is legally required to reduce the least desirable aid and make room for the more desirable aid. Throughout your time at CU Anschutz, you want to make sure that you are monitoring your financial aid eligibility, that you are maintaining satisfactory academic progress, or SAP, that you understand how withdrawing or dropping courses may impact your aid, and then also understand there is a return to Title IV, or R2T4, process that our office must do, which calculates how much aid has been earned by a student who has withdrawn or dropped all of their courses, and how much may need to be repaid. We want to make sure that you are looking at scholarships and applying for them as early and often as possible. There will be two different main sources. There will be internal scholarships available through the School of Medicine, and then there will be external scholarships, which are scholarships from any non-CU entity. CU Anschutz students do have access to Scholarship Universe, which is a wonderful search engine to help you find external scholarships. When it comes to scholarships, you want to make sure that you're scheduling regular time on your calendar to search and apply to them. Make sure that you have a trusted person who can review over your application, ensure that everything looks good and you have all of the necessary pieces. Make sure that you're staying organized with your files, your search terms, all of that. And then, of course, you always want to make sure that you're thinking big and broad, not only about yourself, but also where to find those scholarship funds. On our scholarships page, we do have information for how donors can get checks to us quickly and how to make out those checks. That's on our financial aid website under the scholarships tab. I also want to touch just a little bit on the cost of attendance and what it is or what it means. The cost of attendance, or COA, is the best estimate of reasonable costs associated with your program. The cost of attendance includes both costs payable to the school and costs payable to others. Costs payable to the school, which is sometimes referred to as direct fees, includes tuition and all of those mandatory student fees, the items that you, in some capacity, must pay to the university. Costs payable to others, which is issued as a refund if you're using financial aid, includes things such as books and supplies, the living allowance, and the healthcare allowance. The cost of attendance is the same for all students, as it is set by the university and the Colorado Department of Higher Education. However, there are some special circumstances that may qualify a student for an increase in their cost of attendance, such as childcare, computer-related purchases for education, etc. When it comes to that refund that you receive, it will be provided to you at the beginning of the semester in one lump sum. We recommend putting the refund into a high-yield savings account to accrue good interest, and then schedule monthly expenses to transfer automatically into your checking account. Treat it kind of like a direct deposit paycheck from a job. Please also keep in mind that financial aid is not intended to cover other types of debt, such as credit cards or auto loans. Within the cost of attendance are different types of allowances. The biggest one will be the living allowance. For the 2025-2026 aid year, the living allowance is roughly $2,800 per month and is intended to cover rent, mortgage, and utilities, food, including groceries and dining out, personal transportation, so car insurance, car maintenance, fuel. It is also intended to cover personal hygiene, personal recreation, and can also be used for non-monthly or irregular expenses, such as your car registration. For those, we recommend that you budget the monthly amount, reserve that in savings, and then you'll have it available when that bill comes due. We do anticipate the 2026-2027 aid year living allowance to be very similar to the 2025-2026 year. So you can plan to use about $2,800 per month for your budget. Speaking of budgeting, let's go ahead and talk about personal budgeting and some tips and tricks around that. It's really important to keep in mind that a budget is a living, breathing thing. It should reflect your financial priorities in that moment, and it is going to grow and change as you grow and change. So your personal budget while you're in school is going to look different as to your personal budget when you're working. You'll want to track and review all of your anticipated expenses, including your tuition, mandatory fees, rent, transportation costs, etc. You also want to make sure that you understand the total financial aid offer, which includes the requirements for each type of aid you've been offered, which semester or semesters are being covered by that offer, and all terms and conditions required for the educational loans. And of course, that does apply to the federal and private loans because they will be different. If you review your anticipated expenses and the estimated cost of attendance that we provide, as well as the financial aid offer you receive, that will really help you start to set the parameters of where your budget will be. We know that the start of your program is right around the corner, but we do recommend avoiding starting school with any kind of credit card debt or personal loan debt if possible. So if you have the means to take care of that now, we strongly encourage you to do so. So that you're not starting your personal budget from scratch, you can review your prior but recent spending habits. Compare that to the planned budget, and then you'll want to make sure that you reduce where and when you can. Also, again, your program is right around the corner, but we recommend starting to live like a student now. If you're used to making more than $2,800 a month, set that $2,800 budget, and then use the remaining funds to pay off other debt or put towards savings. Within your budget, you should include a modest amount for a buffer because life happens. And we always recommend having a minimum of $1,000 in savings for emergencies. Personal budgeting does require you to be realistic and honest with yourself about your circumstances. And then you'll also, especially when it comes to financial aid and what you will be utilizing, you want to make sure that you review any expenses that you may already have support for or that you don't need to cover. Some examples include the CU Student Health Insurance Plan or CU SHIP, a cell phone plan, room and board if you have a spouse or family who will be supporting you, such as that. We talked about scheduling time and being organized for applying to and searching for scholarships. You should also be doing the same thing when it comes to personal budgeting. You want to make sure that you are scheduling regular budget check-ins. We do encourage at least monthly, but weekly or every other week can be more beneficial because it's more in the moment and doesn't have any big surprises coming your way, hopefully. We have some budgeting worksheets on our website that can provide some help to get you started. And then you can also use budgeting apps, spreadsheets, pen and paper, whatever works best for you. You could also do some combination of all of that if that works best. I won't be reading through all of these, but these are some really helpful money saving tips from students that we have heard. It includes things such as having a roommate to help you lessen your housing costs, using discounts or coupons to spend less on food and social activities, waiting at least 24 hours before making a big purchase, and comparing health insurance plans before school begins. These items can be really helpful now, and also a lot of them can be applied to your personal budget after graduation. So now that we talked about personal budgeting, let's focus in on borrowing wisely. As a student, when it comes to borrowing, we do encourage students to prioritize federal and state aid prior to any kind of private aid, especially when it comes to educational loans. This is because federal and state aid will typically have better, more consistent benefits than you may find with private aid. For those educational loans, you want to make sure that you're considering all loan factors. Interest rates are important, but you should also be looking at if there's any origination fee and how much that is, if interest and the principal capitalizes at any point, the repayment terms and conditions, and if there's any kind of subsidy for the interest while you're in school or during a grace period. Again, consider all the external support that you may have to reduce your overall borrowing. If you're pursuing private student loans, which the reality is most students will need to, make sure that you're only adding cosigners to those private student loans if necessary. If you do need a cosigner for a private student loan, make sure that they understand their responsibilities. They are legally required to repay the loan if the borrower doesn't for any reason. Some private student loan lenders do have the option to remove the cosigner after a certain period of eligible on-time payments. So if you are needing a cosigner, definitely look for private student loans that offer that. Next, we will be focusing on personal credit health and the awareness of that personal credit health. Why does credit health matter? It shows financial responsibility. If you have on-time consistent payments, it shows that you are very reliable. Low credit use indicates that you have less dependency on credit. And a long credit history means that you have a lot of experience with credit. Your credit health influences the risk to lenders. The higher your score and the better your credit health, the lower the risk. Inversely, the lower the score and the worse your credit health, the higher the risk to them. If you have good, healthy credit, it means that you will be eligible for better loan terms. Credit health builds and shows good financial habits. It shows lenders your spending and debt patterns. If you have consistent, timely payments, it means that you have really good habits. It also reflects that you are good at budgeting and planning financially. Credit health also has an impact on the individual, on their personal health and wellness. Maintaining good credit health reduces financial stress, supports mental well-being, and while you're a student, provides more room for academic success. Some tips and tricks for maintaining good credit health is to aim to pay off balances monthly. This specifically pertains to any credit cards that you may have. If you are able, definitely make higher payments, provided there's no negative repercussions, on anything like a personal loan, a car loan, or when you enter repayment, your student loans. Apply for new credit sparingly. The more often that you have credit hits, the more hits your credit will take. That does decrease your credit health at that time, but you can always bounce back from that. Keep in mind that the age of your credit lines also matter. So if you have a credit card that you've had for a very long time, but you don't use very often and you decide to close it, that will change your credit history and make it significantly smaller. So we do recommend, if you've got one of those old credit cards, charge a little bit to it every month and just keep it active. Obviously, only charge if you have the means to pay it off every month. You can also regularly review your credit report on annualcreditreport.com. There are 3 different credit agencies. You can access one report per agency every week on this website, although it does indicate that it should only be annually. That is because you only used to be able to access one report from each agency once a year. They did update that to one report per agency every week, but it's highly unlikely that your credit report is going to change weekly. So we actually recommend reviewing monthly from all 3 credit agencies. How can the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office, or FASO, support you during your time here? We can help students explore funding options, connecting them with information regarding scholarships, grants, educational loans, work-study programs, and also talk about the benefits and drawbacks of those items. We are the expert on financial aid processes, so we can help clarify any ones that you may have questions on. We do this by providing general guidance on required documentation and deadlines for financial aid applications, and also just help clarify the processes and timelines for various financial aid items. We'd rather you focus on your studies than becoming a financial aid professional yourself. So please utilize our office for any questions that you may have regarding financial aid. We can also clarify regulations for financial aid. That includes institutional, state, and federal regulations, and how those regulations impact what FASO can offer to you. We can help advise on financial wellness by sharing tips on budgeting and maintaining your eligibility for financial aid, and also help you better understand your tuition-related responsibilities. Please keep in mind that while FASO can support you in financial wellness, we are by no means financial advisors or credit experts, but we do have some resources that we can point you towards should you need additional support beyond our means. Before we go, it wouldn't be a presentation from a university or college office if you did not walk away with some homework. You can also refer to it as your to-do list, but this is going to be items that you should complete regarding financial aid and also your budget. You need to make sure that you complete or update the 2025-2026 FAFSA. This FAFSA closes on June 30th, 2026 for submission and updates. If we do not have a completed 2025-2026 FAFSA on file before that date, we cannot offer aid for summer of 2026. You will also want to make sure that you complete the 2026-2027 FAFSA. Both the 2025-2026 and 2026-2027 FAFSAs should have our school code, which is 004508. This code is shared with CU Denver, so it will probably pop up as the University of Colorado Denver. I promise it'll get to us. Make sure that you monitor your email and your UCD Access to-do list regularly, and that goes from now through your whole program. And then make sure that you submit any necessary items quickly to prevent a delay in disbursement of aid. If you haven't already, you will also want to start building a budget and reviewing your previous spending from the last few months or so. Make sure that you are exploring scholarship opportunities, especially those external ones. and also explore private loan funding options if you need to. For help regarding these to-do list items, as well as throughout your time at CU Anschutz, we encourage you to utilize any and all resources available to you. Because you're watching this video, you probably already know that the Anschutz FASO does have a YouTube channel. This is where we put all recorded sessions, including financial wellness and financial literacy sessions hosted by our partners. And we also encourage you to review the financial aid introductory session for incoming DPT students. Our office will also supply a lot of different handouts, both on our website and at presentations and over email. Make sure you use those because we put a lot of effort into ensuring that that information is as approachable as possible, because the financial aid world definitely speaks its own language. We also have a Money Matters page and a Break the Myths page, both on our website. These include some additional resources and just kind of breaks down some of those myths, like all financial aid is free. As I mentioned, we do host financial wellness sessions with our partners throughout the community. These are typically lunch and learns, so not only do you get a free lunch, which helps you budget, but you also get to learn some really valuable information from folks within the financial world about how to maintain your financial wellness. If you are looking for a private lender for a private student loan, we have recently created Elm Select, which is a historical list of private lenders that students at CU Anschutz have used in the past 3 or 4 years. We do not currently maintain a list of preferred private lenders, nor do we endorse or recommend any specific lender to students. Elm Select, as I said, is just a historical list, and it is not exhaustive, nor are students required to utilize any lender found in Elm Select. Lender information is provided solely for informational and comparison purposes. Students and families are free to select any lender of their choice, including those not listed in Elm Select. Thank you so very much for watching this presentation. We hope that it helps you prepare for your time here at CU Anschutz. If you have any questions, please contact the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office. We are available in person, via phone, and via Zoom during our advising hours. We are always available via our email. Visit our website, cuanschutz.edu/finaid for up-to-date advising hours, as well as that Zoom scheduling link.